This is Embracing Your Winter Arc series. And this is the fifth part of my series where we are reclaiming our power in 5 ways. This is where I explore manifestation in a way of transformation over the course of the 90 days that we are in the darkest times of the year. So I am titling this video, The Season of Silent Power and Overcoming Self-Doubt. And we're exploring this theme because it is the winter, and in the winter is the time that we come home to the hearth, the warmth, the inner fire of ourselves, of our homes, we just want to stay warm and cozy. And what better way to ignite this than to come home to the self? Now, I wanted to just say that it doesn't matter if you're a woman reclaiming her power, looking for inner strength, or if you're an entrepreneur seeking clarity, or if you're a coach just looking to refine your skills. This is going to impact you. So what if this winter we could use the season of the silent power in the darkest, coldest part of the year to end out 2024, to manifest even one of the dreams that you have. Just one, big, small, doesn't matter. And what if we also use this to gain inner strength and gain clarity and confidence and just leave self-doubt behind? Like, this is such a perfect opportunity to really take everything that I've talked about in this series and really go deep. Go deep. And I want you to walk away today feeling confident and having like that confidence to go into this dark time, to come out and like to know that yes, we're going into this darkness. We have a mission, we have a goal, we want to discover who we are, who you are. And just know that in this darkness, there's going to be stretching phases. But in the end, after the 90 days, you're going to encounter more clarity and more focus and more of you. And it's going to be a beautiful journey. And you know at the end of it, there's going to be a glow up there. So yes, it's going to get sticky, it might get a little messy, and that's okay. That's welcome. So I wanted to talk about like uncovering the roots of self-doubt. Like, I was thinking about this and I did a little bit of research because I'm like, I've encountered this so much. And this has been like probably one of the biggest hurdles is doubting what I'm capable of, what I know I can do, that I can handle it, that kind of thing. So in my research, there's ways that this comes up. And these are, I believe they're more of the more common sources of self-doubt. So life transitions is one of the first things that came up. And I thought, yes, how appropriate is that? At this time in our lives, we could be facing many transitions. Kids are leaving. Then, what if there's the transition of that, the empty nest syndrome, and then there's also the transition if you're still with your spouse. What do you guys do together? It's almost like the sensation of this strange phase. It's like, okay, wow, the kids are gone. What do we do now? We've lived for the kids. What do we do that we can bring ourselves back together again? Or it could be divorce. So there's serious life changes that can really trigger self-doubt. And you can see why. It's because we're leaving an area that we've been in for so long, and we're embarking on something new that can totally create self-doubt. because we're just unsure. So it stands to reason that this would come up for sure. Another one where I kind of think this is absolutely true in my experience. If you are on social media, you're going to find yourself most likely in the trap of comparison. And when you see all the shiny, pretty stuff that everybody's doing, you're going to start comparing yourself to everybody else. And you're going to start doubting your abilities, your talents, your intuitive insights, your skills to coach people, your inner strength to be able to handle what comes your way. It's just a breeding ground for self-doubt. It totally breeds that. It's so, depending on, like for me, my experience, most social media is pretty manufactured. There is quite a few authentic, real people, and I love that. I follow those kinds of people because I love like the juice that they bring to the table. So just notice when you get caught in that little trap, because it can be quite a trap you don't even see yourself doing. And sometimes you find yourself going down the path of what they're doing rather than what you're doing, because what you think isn't going to bring you the results that they have. So just be aware of that. Now, of course, there's always the conditioning from childhood. Those ingrained beliefs impact us to this day. There's no question about that. It completely impacts our self-worth and our confidence. Yeah, and it can impact your voice and everything like that. It's totally a thing. I mean, we've all heard about that, right? So there's also another area that the self-doubt can come creeping in is feeling like you're irrelevant. That things just don't matter. What you say don't matter. You're not as visible in your careers anymore. Maybe in your kid's life, you don't feel like you're as visible as you once were. So this feeling of being irrelevant creates a lot of self-doubt, or potentially can for sure. And I had already talked about this changing roles thing. It is such a huge shift that it can impact anywhere. And it does create that self-doubt because there's just so much of the unknown that we don't know. And we've never experienced this part of ourselves. So we have to give ourselves compassion when there's changing roles involved. Now, this one kind of impacted me. There's quite a few of them that actually impacted me. But this one here, feeling like you've lacked any kind of accomplishments in your life. Who can say that? I know I certainly can. I remember thinking that, how come I don't have my life together? Like gone through all that stuff of, the kids leaving and, finding the reconnection in the marriage. And then you find yourself like, how come I can't do this? Like, am I really incapable of doing this? And then you go down that road of saying that kind of thing to yourself. And it does feel like you are completely inadequate, and you doubt when you're in that space. You doubt everything that you do, like, oh, well, that's not going to work. I've tried everything. It doesn't work, So it's a pretty slippery slope, all these different root causes. So I want you to keep these all in mind as we go on in this video. Now, why am I talking about these root causes of self-doubt? I'm sure there's probably more, but those are the ones that I found that I thought that stood out the most. It's the awareness piece is why I'm talking about this, because if we don't understand where this is coming from, how are we going to be able to navigate this? Like navigating it is one thing and breaking that pattern is another. So it allows you to know where, I want to say, you leak your power. Like if it's feeling like you're irrelevant, or the change of roles, you're leaking your power away by allowing something like that, the uncertainty, to overtake you. And when you actually gain your clarity and confidence, you're reclaiming all of that power so that you embody it, and you're like, hell yeah, I know what I'm doing. So I want to give you a couple of examples here on why this is so important. So with this irrelevant piece that I was talking about. Now, one example here, like to turn that around when you take your limiting belief, once you understand where it's coming from, you can turn it around and make it so powerful for yourself. Instead of believing that we're irrelevant and doubting the skills and abilities and the wisdom that we have, we can turn that around and say, my wisdom and experience grows stronger within me. People value my uniqueness that I bring. I am relevant, I am worthy, and everything I create has meaningful impact. When we start to understand that this has been ingrained, the seed of self-doubt, and we are aware of it, and we notice when our thoughts are starting to think these silly little things, we can turn that around by creating our own powerful affirmation and say, when you don't let the mind run away with you, because it's your mind that's telling you that you're kind of irrelevant, and you say, oh, wait a minute, I've lived this life. I am full of wisdom. I have experience. I have knowledge and wisdom that is valuable, and I know it's valuable for somebody. And you just flip it, and it just, like, even now I can feel like the shift with it, just in that alone. I can feel the shift. I can feel the power of that. So now the next example I have here for you is like changing the roles and the identity. So let's say we're going to look at, let's say, the relationship with your spouse. I'm going to use my husband as an example. If I was as wise as I am now as I was back then, you know what I'm trying to say here? I muddled that up, but if I'd have known that phase, like you can feel it when things are changing. If I had known that it was just an orientation spot where we needed a few minutes, or even, I'm just using as a silly an example. It's not going to take a few minutes, but when people grow into their new roles, there's like a gap of how do I get over there? Like, what's going on here? So they don't really understand what's happening. So if we allow ourselves to say, I embrace this change, I know that this new chapter is going to bring forward a new me, a new us, a new level in my business, etc., etc. These changes are going to allow me to thrive, grow, to expand, to bring more to my relationship, to my clients. It gives us a space to honor our own goals, our own skills, value our own worth, all of that good stuff. It's a golden opportunity to find that moment of fulfillment, so you can see how you can take the change in the role, how it could just pull you down full of doubt because you're in that moment and you don't realize you're in that moment, that things are changing and you need to change, that it's not going to pull you down the rabbit hole, but instead take that moment and give yourself the upliftment, give yourself the encouragement that you need to be able to accomplish this. And you might have a feeling sense of how you want to do this and how you want to feel, and that's beautiful. And if you don't, that's okay, because in these moments when these roles are changing, it's frightening. We don't know what it's going to look like, how it's going to change. But if you just allow yourself the grace to be able to experience it with yourself, firstly, because this is important that we need to experience this with ourselves so that we can bring this forward to another person. And all of this, like when you encounter self-doubt in all the ways that I'm talking about here, this is actually your permission slip to experiment with it, to create your own flip, your own affirmations. And it's a perfect opportunity to take the risk here, to take that one step towards, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Like that's not who I want to be, into the person you want to be. So this winter cuddle time, with yourself is a perfect opportunity to really embody who you actually really want to be. We're not that self-doubt. I'll tell you that right now. We are not that. We're way more than that. We're so deep, we're so wise, that self-doubt, like really, come on, out of here, will you? So I want you to take the root of it and flip it, write something different. And when it comes up, you're going to say, I see you. I see you for what you're worth. I see what you're trying to do to me. Okay, self-doubt. You're leaving. You're going to get put to the side and we're going to start doing this. So that's the goal here, is to turn that belief into something more positive, and it will help us reframe our thought processes. And you will notice, like when you do this long enough, like for the 90 days, you may not catch it right away. You may notice that you're still in that self-doubt, and that's perfectly okay. The number one is the fact that you've noticed it. Two, having the awareness of where it's coming from, like we've talked about in the first part of the video. And then turning that fear-based idea, that thought about the self-doubt, and turning it into something so freaking powerful that this concept that we have of ourselves can't possibly stay true. It just can't. Because when you actually take that false belief and you believe it, you're going to create that and manifest that. And it's going to show you proof that, yeah, you're kind of irrelevant. Or yeah, this change in life, you're whatever, you're irrelevant. Life will continuously show us the proof of that belief. So when we take this fear belief and flip it, life has no choice but to show up and show you the proof of that, because we're going to start switching the way we think and feel. And the way we feel, we're going to notice it. And then the more we believe that, hell yeah, I have wisdom, I've got depth, I have something unique to offer the world, guess what? The world is going to bring you proof of that. That is the truth. I mean, it's always been there. We just need to see it. And I hope that this video brings you to that. So when we're in this process, I think I've talked a lot about celebrating all the little tiny wins. It doesn't matter how small they are. If you got up 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late for work or a client meeting or whatever it was, and you showed up on time, that's a win. If you took some little online little masterclass, that's a win. If you didn't, get mad at your neighbor, that's a win. Every little win is so important. The more you focus on where you're winning, what you're accomplishing, like even compliments, anything like that, it is a win. It's proof that you are doing what you're setting to achieve. And every little tiny piece builds self-trust, because there's a little element of, like with the self-doubt, that you don't trust yourself, and that's why there's no clarity. So this helps you learn to trust yourself more, that heck yeah, I'm wise. I just gave that guy a piece of like wisdom, and I can't believe that came out of my mouth. Write it in. That's a win. Celebrate that. Like, believe me, celebrate it. It's just so much fun. And then you begin to realize that, hey, you know what? The self-doubt stuff, sorry, I crapped that up. It's nonsense. It really is nonsense. You can do it. It's just a little speed bump that's getting in the way, that has you believing that, this or that or whatever. And it just, the doubt is like a big wedge in the dream. It really is a big wedge. And so remember to experiment with it. Don't be afraid to experiment, because that's all it is. It's just an experiment. If one, let's say, affirmation doesn't work for you, then find something that does work for you. Create it, live it, and if you can tweak it, better. If something blows up in your face, which it won't, that's okay. It's a learning experience. We're here to experiment with life. We're here to build our lives, and this is all part of the process. So I don't want you to get too hard on yourself, because that's not the goal of this video. The goal of the video is to have you feeling so confident that you can take these steps. You can do these things, This is your inner journey. You get to do it your way, all the way. So now I believe that having self-compassion is the answer to everything, because we've been so hard on ourselves for most of our lives, whether we speak it out loud, whatever. Because sometimes, I've actually had a woman say to me, I can't remember exactly what she said, but I was always like making jokes about myself, that I just want to say that I felt like I was incompetent. And she had made the reference that I was really hard on myself. And I was like, wow. Like, when the self-doubt creeps in, sometimes we verbalize it when we don't even realize it. Like, we actually really live out this self-doubt prophecy. Like, it's crazy. I mean, prophecy may be a strong word, but so just remember to have compassion for yourself, that it's an experiment, we're learning, and it's okay if we mess it up. If we fall into that scenario again, it's perfectly fine, because that's just life. Until we fully really understand that that is not the life that we want to create, and that you truly are one powerful creator that can manifest anything. And I mean anything. And I'm not kidding. I'm being very serious, that you have the capability of having that dream life. It doesn't matter how crazy it seems. Like, I have a massive dream right now. I haven't spoken it because it's so big. It would be easy for somebody to just stick an arrow in it and pop my balloon, and I'm not letting that happen. I'm keeping that to myself, because it's my goal and it's my internal journey, and it's going to carry me to where I need to go. And if I actually don't get to that goal, it's going to land me somewhere better. It's not going to bury me. It's going to take me somewhere better. Whereas self-doubt, if I actually was so wrapped up in self-doubt, I never would have been able to envision such a life that could potentially allow me to live all of my dreams. So self-doubt is very powerful, but the opposite is very powerful as well. And it will take you further than self-doubt ever can. So always treat yourself with kindness and compassion. Always speak your truth. It just helps you align to your authentic self even more so, especially when things are uncomfortable. Like, I'm sure there's going to be moments in any of these phases where you're going to feel uncomfortable, and speaking your truth, and even just saying, I'm really, really uncomfortable with this, and I don't know what to do, and how do I cope with this? Like, especially even for example, like in your transitioning relationship with your husband, and how when the kids have left, and how do you come back together again? Because you remember when you got married, there was something there, and then life happens, kids, house, whatever, and then kids leave, and then it's just the two of you again. So that's the goal, is to find what really matters to you. What matters, and being so kind on yourself during this process, because like I said, sometimes it can't be easy, but the good news is, with the sticky parts, we are coming out on the other end of it, and we are creating such clarity within, such a newfound confidence to finish out 2024 and impacting 2025, so that 2025 is just like off the charts, amazing good. So the key to overcoming self-doubt is really embracing your authentic self, is essentially when it comes down to a finite moment. So I invite you this winter to embrace this deep dive into the darkness, and to shed and release all of those things that really do not serve you at all. Not at all. It's in this phase where we shed the old, and when we release that, the new comes in, and new beginnings become a regular thing, and new adventures and new experiments. And that's what we're building here. We're building resilience. We're building inner strength. We're building our dreams, and these new adventures are awaiting us. The rest of the year is going to be impactful, and to bring in 2025 is going to be so amazing. This is your invitation to end the season of silent power in 2024 and to start 2025 like you've never started a new year before. Forget intentions. Forget it. This is about creating a deeper, richer, more confident woman that actually achieves her dreams. That's what this series was all about, was to embrace the deep, rich landscape that already lives within and really bring that forward for the rest of the year and into 2025. And of course, it'll be different when you catch this video later. I also just wanted to say, I have a PDF that is 3 steps to reclaiming your power after 40 and lead with confidence. And I'll leave that in the description box. I almost forgot about that. And I wanted to thank all of my subscribers and my returning subscribers. And I'd love to hear your experiences with this, how your winter goes, how the 90-day goes for you. I want to hear your insights and how embracing your silence is transforming your life. I want to hear how this whole 5-day series worked for you, and document the journey and see who you are. How have you transformed at the end of 90 days? And I just wanted to say it's been a blast creating this series for you. Let me know if you love these series, if you want me to do more of them. I'd love to, because this is the first time I've done them. So this has been really fun. And I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you so much for tuning in for all 5 of my videos. They're all going to be linked down below with the PDF. And I believe that is everything. So thank you.